I was in a hospital bed, groggy from surgery, when I found out my wife was cheating on me. Not from her. Not from some dramatic confession. From a nurse. By accident. But let's rewind. My name is Daniel Pierce. I'm 38. Father of one. Husband, at least, I thought I was. Lauren and I had been married for 12 years. We had a little girl, Mia, who loved dinosaurs and chocolate chip pancakes. Life wasn't perfect, but we were solid. Or so I thought. Then her brother, Mark, got sick. Real sick. End-stage renal failure. He needed a kidney, fast. Lauren was devastated. Their parents had passed years ago. Mark was all she had left. I got tested. I was a match. People called me a hero. But I didn't do it for praise. I did it because I loved Lauren. Because I couldn't stand to see her cry on the bathroom floor every night. The surgery went well. But the recovery, that's where everything unraveled. It was the third night after the transplant. I was lying in my hospital bed, still woozy, with my 4 beeping like a slow metronome, when a nurse came in to adjust my meds. Friendly girl. Probably in her 20s. She smiled and asked how I was feeling. Then she said, "Your wife seems sweet. But, is it okay if I ask, how are you holding up with her boyfriend visiting too?" I blinked. Her what? She froze. Face pale. Eyes wide. Oh my God. I thought you knew. She stammered. Apologized. Backed out of the room. But the damage was done. I didn't press the call button. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stared at the ceiling and let the morphine dull the edges of what she'd just said. Lauren had a boyfriend. While I was giving her brother an organ, she was giving herself to another man. I discharged myself 2 days early. The doctors weren't happy. Lauren looked shocked when I told her. I said I was uncomfortable, that I'd recover better at home. She nodded, too quickly, offering to drive. I said no. She insisted. I let her. We drove home in silence, her hands white-knuckled on the steering wheel, mine shaking in my lap, not from pain, but from rage I was trying to cage behind my teeth. At home, everything looked exactly as I'd left it. Same folded blankets on the couch. Same framed photos on the walls. Same birthday drawing from Mia, stuck to the fridge with a ladybug magnet. Only now, the house didn't feel like mine. I could feel ghosts here. Not the dead kind, the secret kind. That night, Lauren made soup. She helped me lie on the couch, propped up with pillows, then kissed my forehead like I was some fragile thing she still loved. I watched her with narrowed eyes, studying every word, every blink. "I missed you," she said. "I'm so glad you're home." "Yeah?" I asked. "Anyone else miss me?" She froze. Just for a second. But I saw it. The flicker of guilt. The weight behind her eyelids. I waited until she was asleep. Then I started searching. Her phone was locked. Of course it was. She'd changed her passcode. That never used to happen. I went to the guest bathroom, opened the cabinet under the sink. There was a second toothbrush. New. Still wet. We didn't have guests. I checked the laundry room. Found a hoodie I didn't recognize in the back of the hamper. Men's size. Smelled like cheap cologne and unfamiliar detergent. I felt sick. The next day, when she left to pick up groceries, I logged into our shared tablet, one she rarely touched. But she'd forgotten it synced to her Google account. Messages. Calendar entries. Emails. One message was from a contact simply labeled K. "I wish it was you in that hospital bed, not him." I stopped breathing. I scrolled. Dozens of messages. From before the surgery. After it. The night I was unconscious from anesthesia, she was texting him about how empty the bed felt without him there. He's sleeping now. I'm just lying here thinking of your hands. Soon. I swear. I just have to wait until he's strong enough. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning to leave me. After I gave her brother a kidney. I laughed. Out loud. Like some kind of maniac. It was either that or scream. I printed everything. Every message. Every calendar entry. I tucked the hoodie into a Ziploc bag like evidence at a crime scene. Because that's what it felt like someone had committed murder inside my home, and the victim was the life I thought I had. When Lauren got back, I was calm. Too calm. She kissed me on the cheek. Feeling better? I nodded. Stronger every hour. She smiled. Good. I thought maybe tonight, once Mia's asleep, we could talk. About the future. I nodded again. But not for the reason she thought. That night, after Mia fell asleep with her stuffed stegosaurus clutched in one hand, I sat across from Lauren at the dining room table. I slid the folder across to her. Clear plastic. Every message. Every timestamp. She opened it. Didn't speak. Didn't cry. Just sat there staring, lips pressed white. I said nothing. Just watched. Finally, she looked up. Her voice barely above a whisper. You weren't supposed to find out like this. I smiled. And for the first time in my life, it didn't feel kind. No. I said. Tell me, what's the correct way to find out your wife's been cheating while you're in the hospital recovering from major surgery? She couldn't answer. So I stood up. Slowly. Carefully. Every step burned. But I wanted it to hurt. I deserved to feel something real after weeks of living in a lie. Go sleep in the guest room, I said. We'll talk when I don't feel like vomiting at the sound of your voice. Lauren didn't sleep in the guest room. She stayed on the couch that night, probably thinking it made her look more pitiful. More human. I lay awake upstairs, not from the pain in my side, but from the clarity. Like someone had ripped the veil off my life and finally let me see it for what it was, a house made of sand. And it had been raining for a long time. The next morning, Mia asked why Mom was sleeping downstairs. I told her the truth, just not the whole thing. She's helping me recover. It's easier for her to be near the kitchen at night. She nodded, satisfied. Children are easy to protect when they still believe in good guys. After breakfast, Lauren asked if we could talk. I agreed. We sat in the backyard, where the sound of birds and passing cars softened the weight of her voice. I know what I did is unforgivable, she began. But I swear to you, Daniel, I didn't plan this. I didn't go looking for it. I stared at her. I read the messages. You didn't just trip and fall into someone else's arms, Lauren. This wasn't a fling. It was a second life. Her eyes filled with tears. He made me feel seen again. After so long. After years of routine. Of you being gone all the time, exhausted, distant. I was working to keep us alive, I snapped. To pay for this house, for Mia's school, for the food in our fridge. And then I gave you something I can never get back, my body, and you gave it all to him. She shook her head. It didn't start until after we found out about Mark. I was scared. I felt like I was losing control of everything. He showed up. I leaned forward. Who is he? Her mouth trembled. She whispered, Kevin. I blinked. Kevin who? She looked down. Kevin Andrews. Silence. The world stopped. My skin went cold. Kevin Andrews was my boss. The man who gave me my job 10 years ago. The man who sent us a card and flowers after my surgery. The man who stood up at our wedding and toasted us. I laughed. A single, stunned laugh that sounded like it belonged to someone else. My boss. I said. The man who sponsored me as soccer team. Who came to every barbecue. That Kevin. She nodded. I didn't mean. Stop saying that, I snapped. Stop pretending this wasn't a choice. A million times, over and over again, you chose him. Tears streamed down her face. I don't love him. I stood, the pain in my side stabbing with every movement. But you wanted to leave me for him. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. I walked inside, shaking. Opened my laptop. Searched Kevin's name in my inbox. Emails. Project files. Weekly schedules. And one I'd never seen before, an accidental CC from months ago. Subject, house visit Tuesday, wife will be home. It was from Kevin. Sent to himself. Forwarded from his private Gmail. Attached was a photo. Of my backyard. My patio furniture. And Lauren, standing at the door. She wasn't just sneaking around. He was in my house. In my life. That night, I didn't speak to Lauren. I locked my door and sat with every piece of proof spread across the bed like war plans. I wanted to destroy him. Publicly. Professionally. But I also knew what that would do to Mia. To blow up her world for the sake of my vengeance. It wasn't worth it. At least not yet. So I did the one thing I hadn't done since this began. I called a lawyer. The law office was in a modest brick building downtown. Neutral colors. Soft jazz in the waiting room. Everything designed to make you feel like things weren't falling apart. But mine were. I sat across from a woman named Eliza Hart, divorce attorney. Calm voice. Sharp eyes. No nonsense. I've seen worse, she said after I laid it all out. But this? It's cold. Yeah, I muttered. It feels like frostbite from the inside out. She laid out the path clearly. Heavy checkmark file. Heavy checkmark separate. Heavy checkmark protect the child. Heavy checkmark gather assets. Heavy checkmark present evidence, but don't go nuclear. Not yet. Play it clean, Mr. Pierce, she said. Courts love clean. I left her office feeling like I just loaded a bullet into a gun I didn't want to fire. But then fate pushed my finger toward the trigger. Because when I got back to work that afternoon, bruised, stitched, barely recovered, guess who was waiting in my office? Kevin Andrews. My boss. My wife's lover. Sitting in my chair. Like nothing was wrong. He stood when I walked in. Smiled. Hey, man. How are you feeling? I didn't answer. He gestured to the chair across from mine. You wanna sit? Or should I? I shut the door behind me. Clicked the lock. He froze. I leaned against the file cabinet. Not because I was trying to look cool, but because standing still with a healing incision wasn't easy. You slept with my wife, I said, no emotion. His eyes darted. Daniel, look, I know how it sounds, but do not insult me with an excuse. He looked down. Then nodded. Okay. I deserve that. I gave her brother a kidney, I said. And while I was drugged, bleeding, you were in my home. In my family. He opened his mouth. Closed it. Then said, it was never supposed to go that far. I laughed. Loud. Bitter. You people love that line. What exactly was it supposed to be, Kevin? A weekend thing? A stress relief project while I worked overtime to keep your company running? He raised his hands. I swear to you, I ended it. When? Before your surgery. Yeah. The texts say otherwise. He winced. She told me she was going to end the marriage. That she didn't love you anymore. She told me she was making soup. The room went quiet. You could hear the HVAC humming above us. A printer chattering in the next office. Then I spoke again, quieter this time. I want your resignation. His head snapped up. Excuse me. You're done here. Effective immediately. You can't be serious. I can. And I am. You used your position to exploit my personal life. That's grounds. I've already spoken to legal. He stepped forward. Daniel, I own part of this firm. I stepped forward too. And I own the respect of every employee here. What do you think happens when they find out you were sleeping with your subordinate's wife while he was in surgery recovering from a transplant? His face paled. I walked past him, opened the door. Your office will be cleared by end of day. Or I'll do it myself. He left. Didn't say another word. No threats. No apologies. Just silence. That night, I came home to find Lauren sitting at the kitchen table, eyes puffy, hands folded in front of her. Did you fire him? She asked. I didn't answer. Daniel. I didn't know what I was doing. I swear. I thought I was losing you. And then he was there, and I. You didn't lose me, I said. You threw me away. I walked past her. Climbed the stairs. And for the first time since this all began, I felt like I was starting to win. 2 days after Kevin left the company, Lauren found the divorce papers on the kitchen counter. I didn't leave them there by accident. She didn't speak that night. Just stared at the manila envelope as if it might catch fire. In the morning, she followed me into the driveway barefoot, her robe flapping in the wind. You're really doing this? She asked, her voice breaking. I looked her dead in the eye. I already did. Later that day, she showed up at Mia's school before I could. Picked her up early. Took her out for ice cream. Then she posted a photo online, just the two of them smiling. No caption. Just her hand on Mia's shoulder, like a statement. Like a claim. I didn't find out until my phone buzzed with a message from my sister. Thought you had custody today. I drove to Lauren's place, she was staying with a friend, and waited outside. When they pulled up, Mia jumped out of the car and ran to me. Daddy, she shouted. Guess what? Mommy says we're gonna do movie nights again, like before. My stomach twisted. Lauren smiled from the driver's seat. That same smile she wore when she lied to my face. That night, Mia asked, why can't we all live together again? I sat on the edge of her bed, tucking the covers under her chin. Because sometimes, I said carefully, grown-ups break something they can't fix. But can't you just try harder, she whispered. Like when I broke your favorite coffee mug and you just glued it back together. I kissed her forehead. This is a little more broken than that, kiddo. She didn't understand. Of course she didn't. And Lauren was using that innocence like a rope to pull me back. The next morning, I received an email from Lauren's new lawyer. She was contesting the divorce. Claimed we could still reconcile. Cited emotional stress and unfair dismissal of marital repair opportunities. She wanted mediation. She wanted time. She didn't want me back. She just didn't want to lose. I called Eliza, my attorney. She's playing a long game, she said. You need to stay steady. Keep your side clean. Document everything. So I started keeping a log. Dates. Times. Photos. Quotes. Lauren wasn't coming for me anymore. She was coming for the part of me that still lived in a little girl's eyes. And that? That made her dangerous. The envelope came by courier. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Legal letterhead. 2 words in bold at the top. Paternity inquiry. I read it once. Then again. My fingers went numb. Lauren was requesting a DNA test for Mia. She wanted to legally question whether I was our daughter's biological father. It didn't make sense. We'd conceived Mia 3 years into our marriage. I was there for every sonogram. I cut the cord. I held her first. And now Lauren was trying to erase all of that, not because she believed it, but because she wanted leverage. This wasn't about Mia. It was about me. I drove straight to my lawyer's office. Eliza scanned the document inside. It's a low move. She's trying to weaponize biology. Hoping to rattle you. Make you walk away. She knows Mia is mine, I said. She just wants control. She wants ownership, Daniel. Of the story. Of the outcome. Eliza leaned forward. This doesn't change our course. We fight this. Hard. And when we win, the court will see her tactics for what they are. That night, I sat alone in Mia's room after she fell asleep. Looked at her drawings on the wall. Her toys. Her little backpack with glittery stars. She had my smile. My stubbornness. She'd never know this paperwork existed, I swore that to myself. I would never let Lauren turn her into a pawn. But inside me, something broke. Because the woman I'd loved for over a decade was now trying to legally separate me from my child. The next day, Lauren texted. I didn't want it to come to this. But you're forcing my hand. I'll drop it, if we mediate. Think about Mia. I stared at the screen. No apology. No regret. Just a threat disguised as motherhood. I didn't reply. Instead, I took Mia for the weekend. We went hiking. Picked wildflowers. Ate too many s'mores by a campfire. She told me a story about a dinosaur princess who saved her dad from a cave monster. And I thought, this is what being a father is. Not blood. Not paperwork. Just showing up. By Sunday night, I was more certain than ever. I wasn't just ending a marriage. I was taking back everything she thought she could steal. Family court isn't like in the movies. There are no slamming gavels. No tearful confessions from the witness stand. Just paperwork, lawyers in gray suits, and a judge who's heard every sad story twice. But that day, when I walked into the courtroom, everything felt electric. Lauren sat across from me, in a dark blazer, hair neatly pinned, face composed. Like this was a meeting. Like we were negotiating a budget, not the future of a child. The judge was a tall man with tired eyes. He skimmed our files. Asked calm questions. Read statements aloud like they were ingredients on a cereal box. Then he paused. Ms. Pierce, he said, looking directly at Lauren, you've requested a paternity inquiry. She nodded, lips tight. Do you have any factual basis for this request? She hesitated. I just think the truth matters. The judge nodded slowly. Then turned to me. Mr. Pierce, are you willing to take the test? I stood up. I'll take 1,000 of them, I said. But I raised that little girl every day of her life. I've rocked her through fever. Read her every bedtime story. I know what her giggle sounds like in the back seat of a car. I know what breaks her heart and what makes her brave. I am her father, Your Honor. Whether or not a lab confirms it. Silence. Then the judge nodded. Motion denied. Lauren blinked. Hard. The courtroom didn't gasp. No one stood and clapped. But inside me, a stadium erupted. We moved on to custody. Shared, she wanted. Supervised, I asked. Eliza presented the folder of evidence, texts, photos, the emotional manipulation, the timing of Lauren's choices, the tactics she used. I didn't look at Lauren while the judge read. But I saw her shoulders collapse. Bit by bit. The final ruling was simple. Heavy checkmark, I kept the house. Heavy checkmark, I retained primary custody of Mia. Heavy checkmark, Lauren would have limited visitation, court reviewed. The judge closed the file. This child deserves consistency. And a parent who puts her needs above their pain. I walked out of the courtroom taller than I'd been in months. Not because I won. But because I didn't let her break me. That night, I told Mia we were going to be okay. She asked if Mommy was mad. I said, Mommy's learning some hard lessons. Then she asked, are you my forever? I hugged her tight. I'm your always. And I meant it. I still have the scar from the surgery. It pulls when I lift heavy things. Tugs when I stretch too far. But it reminds me of everything I gave to someone who never deserved it. And everything I kept for the one who did.